Podcast Studios. This is After 9 with Scott and Kat.
Hey now!
Hello, friends. Thank you for joining the After 9 podcast.
How you doing?
I'm good, thanks. I was going to try to think of what After 9 would be in French, but then I was like, I'm not going to bother doing that. I know it's neuf, but no, I'm not going to try. I'm not going to do it.
Once I'm done learning Italian, then I'll circle back on French again, because I know I did learn these things in like the 9th grade, but it's all slipped away.
How's that going, by the way? How's the Italian going? I'm tempted to learn a language. Like with all of the apps that they have, they say it's easier than ever. But I feel like you really do have to put time in, though. Like, that's key, right?
People do ask me about this because I had no experience speaking Italian whatsoever. However, after going to the in-laws enough times, I thought maybe I should figure out what the hell these people are saying. Just
about
in
you
case.
specifically.
So I downloaded Babbel, and I swear to God, this is not an ad. I'm not getting anything from Babbel. I will tell you, though, it makes it so easy. They start off real slow, and it escalates quickly. Once you get through the basics, the numbers and the days and all that sort of stuff, then it really ramps up to conjugating verbs and stuff. But nonetheless, it works, and you actually retain it. I was in the car with those same in-laws this past weekend. I could actually understand the gist of what they were saying.
Good.
Not every word, but I at least knew what the topic was and roughly how they felt about it. So I'm retaining it. I just can't speak it yet.
Right on.
It's coming along. Babbel is great. Before we get to all the content that I plan to wow everyone with here today, can we talk about what happened to you first thing this morning? Because I feel like this could happen to anybody and probably will happen to everybody.
It was so confusing. So we both get up very early to do our morning shows, the Scott and Kat morning shows on Energy 95.3 and 91.5 The Beat. So this is just after like 4 o'clock in the morning, basically. My street is relatively quiet.
Gated community, a lot of security.
Stop it. So it's very quiet. So I go out the front door, and as I usually do, everything's like pretty normal. Suddenly, though, up rolls a car, quite fast, may I add, through the neighborhood, and stops right in front of my door as I'm about to get into my car. And I thought, this is awkward. It's just after 4 in the morning.
Pitch black.
Never happens. And I start to panic, and I think, who is this? Is this how it ends?
You thought you were getting kidnapped.
I thought for sure, like someone was going to try to either steal my car, steal me, kill me. I didn't invent TikTok, just for the fucking record, okay? I didn't invent the damn thing, so if you don't like it, stop blaming me.
You agent of the Chinese government.
Oh my gosh. So I'm always on alert. So I'm fumbling around with my keys, right? Which is the only thing that I have near me as a weapon. And I'm like, I got spray on here. What do I got? What is happening? The guy gets out of the car. I'm like, he pops open the trunk. What is he going to get? Rope? Axe? How do I go? What's it going to be? Knife? Is it going to be, I don't know. Could be any number of things. Just duct tape. But then I realized this guy's got a reflective vest on. And I thought, that's not low key for a kidnapper / murderer.
Yeah, you'd usually want to remain fairly inconspicuous.
Yeah. And his lights on his car were very bright, by the way, on this Beamer. Or Volkswagen, that's what it was. It was a Volkswagen. And then he suddenly notices me, and it's like I startled him as much as he startled me, and he went, oh, and he just kind of gave me a wave and said, just delivering a package. And I thought, a package of death?
So you're still not believing
I'm still not
that he's
believing
an Amazon
him.
driver.
I'm like,
okay.
So he takes out a box, and he walks up to my neighbor's driveway. He walks all the way to my neighbor's house, and he puts it on the front door. And then he walks back to his car, shuts his trunk, gets in the car, and drives away. And then it dawned on me, the damn overnight Amazon deliveries now.
Yeah. They're going all hours now.
I had never seen it before, like in person. You know what I mean? I'd actually had a delivery and I opted for it, but it came at 7 a.m. It's still a relatively fine hour. Not at 4 o'clock in the morning. There's Amazon drivers in the literal middle of the night.
That's amazing to me.
Scared the shit out of me.
I don't understand why we don't have Amazon delivering our mail. I honestly think that whatever we should spend on Canada Post, we should just give it to Amazon and say, make sure everybody gets everything the same day.
I know. I wonder if they can make that happen. I mean, they never give it up, but you wonder if they could make that happen. Anyway, nobody trusts people, though. There's people who aren't going to trust Jeff Bezos with your bills or checks or packages.
He can have them. He can afford them, actually. I can't. I think that's a weird one, though. I mean, Somebody comes peeling through your neighborhood in the middle of the night and stops right in front of your house, you think it's over. Like the way you reacted is the way I would have reacted
Scare
too.
the shit out of me.
So what are you doing to defend yourself? Are you going to take a course? Have you got some bear spray on your keychain? What's the line of defense here?
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna go with my hot coffee, number one, right?
Okay,
I
smart.
thought from afar I can open my coffee and splash you in the face, which will buy me about a couple seconds to try to reach into my bag and get any number of items that could help. Mostly keys.
Which fingers do I put the keys between? Yeah, I know.
Do I honk the horn loudly? What do I do?
Start screaming in the middle of the night.
Yeah, exactly.
Neighbors come running out naked and you're like, sorry, I didn't know you ordered a package. That'd be great.
Beware, people, that it just might be an Amazon delivery person. Don't rush to call 911 or anything like that.
Tonight is a big night. It is the debate, the one and only between Kamala Harris and Donald J. Trump. There's supposed to be two presidential debates. There's always been two presidential debates, but on a technicality, they're saying they already did one of them when Trump debated Biden. Biden dropped out of the race because he did so badly in that debate, and now we've got a new candidate, but we're only going to get one debate. I don't think that's right. I think the American people deserve to have as much information as they can. And to only do one debate, I don't love that. But it will be on tonight at 9. They're going to talk for about 90 minutes. Mics are going to be muted when you're not speaking, and that was something that Trump wanted, and Kamala Harris tried to have changed. Why would she want hot mics? Did she want that illusion when people are watching that Donald Trump interrupts her and talks all over? Was she waiting for that, excuse me, I'm talking now? Is she waiting for that moment? Why would she want the mics on when you're not talking?
I mean, I don't mind full transparency for things, so I'm not against having the mics on at all times, and it should be that way. I think personally, but that's not to do with one side or the other.
I really want to hear what they have to say. You know, if they only get one debate, they should have made it 3 hours, not 90 minutes. If they only get one debate, and there's so many issues affecting America, I don't know how you can say we're going to fix the border crisis in the 15-minute segment that we've allocated to the border.
Yes,
you know, how can they
agreed.
possibly get all of their thoughts and plans out in 15 minutes? And then, now we're going to spend another 15 minutes on the economy, and then another 15 minutes on this.
Yeah.
It's not a great format, but it is what we have to work with.
I agree with you completely. There should be more time on this. It's important. And when you think about I don't know how many people could be swayed, right? When they're watching a debate at any time, especially when it comes down to two candidates like it does in the States at this point, not a lot of people can be swayed. I don't think there's a lot of people that are on the fence and not sure if they want to vote for Trump or Kamala. But for those who are, I just feel like that's not enough time for them to really be able to figure it out.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's not enough time. It's a weird format. And all the expectations are on Kamala Harris tonight because she's been the nominee for 50 days, 55 days, something like that. Mm-hmm. And we still don't know what she stands for. She keeps saying she wants to fix things, but she won't admit that anything is broken because if she did, she'd have to admit it was her administration that broke it.
Right.
And she isn't saying how she's going to actually go ahead with her plan. She's in favor of a carbon tax, and I don't think Americans are going to vote in favor of a carbon tax. We're trying to get rid of ours.
Right. It's going to be you're right. It's going to be very interesting because you can't go on bashing your buddy Joe, but at the same time, you wonder if maybe that's the best route to take.
Throw him under the bus.
Diabolical, but
Oh,
maybe
yeah.
for her the best route to take. And again, I go back to that transparency. If people feel like you're being honest and everything's very clear, crystal clear, then people might respect you more. Like if you could step up and say, look, I'll admit, the previous leader, my friend, I stood by him, this and that, but I know things kind of got off course. It wasn't the way that I would have personally done it if I was in that exact position. And with all due respect to him, here's how I would have actually done it, and here's how we can fix it going forward. She might actually gain votes that way, but would she do it? I don't know.
I want to play something that is going to be almost like a little bit of an X factor for the debate tonight. It's kind of interesting that this dropped today. On the morning of the debate, someone who is very integral in this race that we never hear from. The former and potentially future First Lady, Melania Trump, actually came out and dropped a video this morning. 35 seconds long. This is what Melania has to say.
The attempt to end my husband's life was a horrible, distressing experience. Now, the silence around it feels heavy. I can't help but wonder, Why didn't law enforcement officials arrest the shooter before the speech? There is definitely more to this story, and we need to uncover the truth.
Okay, thank you, Melania. Wow, okay.
It's an interesting question. Why aren't we?
Sure.
It was only like 2 months ago. They shot him in the head. Now, it only hit his ear, but they shot the former president and presidential nominee in the head, and nobody wants to talk about it.
It's, well, I mean, and what happened leading up to it? Hey, there's a guy on the roof. There's a guy on the roof. There's a guy on the roof. And kind of being ignored in a way. It seemed like they were being ignored anyway.
See, I get why government officials don't want to talk about this because they either clearly dropped the ball or they were in some way in on it. I get it. They don't want to talk about it. But I kind of blame this on us. All of us. You know, we're supposed to care what goes on with our politics, but then you get something like an assassination attempt on the former and possibly future president. Dead story. After a couple of weeks, they buried that one. No talk about it. Here, we know there's 12 elected representatives or former elected representatives who were basically on the payroll of foreign governments. And we still don't know their names. You know, in any other circumstance, I would have thought people would have been in the streets with pitchforks ready to take down the government if they didn't admit who the traitors were. But nobody here even seems to care about that. It's amazing how quickly we forget different things. So I don't know how this debate is going to go tonight. I have a feeling Trump is going to be Trump. They're saying, Trump, don't be Trump.
Nothing's going to, I think nothing's even going to change things. But that's just my guess.
Well, you were right about nobody's changing their mind. If you're a committed Kamala Harris voter, nothing she says tonight is going to make you think, well, maybe I will vote for Trump. And if you're supporting Trump, nothing Kamala Harris says is going to make you think, maybe I'm going to have to be Team Harris. Now, the news will trot out tons of people that say they switched based on the debate. I really don't know that that's a reality, though. It'll be good, though. I'm smoking ribs as we speak.
I knew you were going to do a big thing tonight. That's great.
Homemade fries, and I'm going to do like a sloppy Southwest kind of dinner. It's going to be great, Kat. I love nights like this. It's going to be good. But we'll circle back on a couple other topics similar to that later on in the pod, because I want to get to a couple other things here. It was sad, but did you watch any of the coverage of the Johnny and Matthew Goudreau funeral yesterday?
Yeah, I mean, it breaks my heart, especially watching as a mom, hearing that there was another baby. There is another baby on the way, of course.
Yeah, Johnny's widow is pregnant. Meredith
with
is her
their
name.
third child, I believe it is, right? Man, I just my heart just breaks for them.
When she announced in the chapel or the church, wherever it was yesterday that they were, when she announced that she's expecting their third child, I just felt this overwhelming grief for them, and I don't even know them. And I think a lot of people probably felt the same way.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking.
Yesterday, Apple introduced the iPhone 16.
Yay!
Get the hell out of here, Apple. Just suck it. You know,
I want to know. I'm curious about some of the features, but I don't know if it's worth upgrading. You know what I mean?
I don't see it. I know Apple likes us to give them $2,000 every year. Or every other year.
They would certainly love that.
Very much like it if we would. But at the end of the day, Apple has always excelled because of innovation and creativity. And maybe this 16 is innovative and creative. But the way they launched it yesterday basically told me this is the exact same as the 15 with a different chip in it or a different processor in it. They need the new processor to power the amount of AI that's going to be going through the phone. I don't really care too much about the AI aspect of it. I don't want to spend $2,000 on a phone that does basically the same thing as my current phone. The other thing is they've added a button. I guess that's the biggest change. A button on the outside so you can take pictures. The button will launch the camera, and that becomes the button you press like an old school camera to take a picture.
Because we're going backwards. We
are.
And now it's like a digital camera. Like, think about it. It really is.
It's true. It's like a digital camera. It's got a button on it now.
And that's fine. Hey, those features are fine. I feel like what I always ask myself whenever they announce a new one is, do I feel like I'm missing something? That's what I think we should all ask ourselves. Do you feel like you're missing something in your phone? Do you feel like you have everything you need?
I think so.
Then I don't think that we should feel the need to do it, to get an upgrade. Unless, of course, if your work pays for it or something like that, hey, by all means, grab a hold of it, grab that new one, get that upgraded AI system. Otherwise, you're probably fine to wait.
I'm going to play a little bit of a news conference from yesterday. This was Premier Doug Ford weighing into federal politics.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, MP Singer, he's just blowing smoke. There's nothing more important to these greedy politicians than collecting a pension. And he was elected in October 2019, and October 19th, 2019. And I'll be floored, and I'll stand up here and apologize to all the greedy politicians if he calls the election early. But let's face it, he wants his pension. He's not going anywhere until October, let's say 20th, 2025, because there's him and a whole bunch of other politicians that want to grab the taxpayers' money. So my bet is he's not doing anything. He's just putting on a big show like he has for the last number of years there.
Oh, okay. So I hear regular people talk about that stuff all the time. Jagmeet Singh is only doing this. He said he dropped out. He ripped it up. He ripped up the deal with the Liberals.
In dramatic fashion.
He ripped it up. He says it every day.
With a symphony behind him.
I ripped it up. I ripped it up. I ripped it up. Yeah, okay, we get it. You ripped it up. Great. So he does that, and there's a lot of people who think he will continue to vote with the Liberals or ensure that they don't fall, at least, because as long as he drags out this election process until next October, he gets a pension that is worth $2.7 million.
Wow.
He'll get his salary until he's 90.
Yeah.
And some people would point out, well, he's wealthy as it is. The guy has a Rolex. He drives a real nice car. He's got a lot of money. Who the hell is going to walk away from a $2.7 million pension? Get paid.
Nobody will leave money on the table.
He'll get paid twice monthly until he's 90 for the rest of his life. And I don't.
Does that system make sense to you?
No.
Does that make sense?
Honest to God,
Kat, I don't really like that.
None of it makes sense to me. This whole thing is crazy. I don't know why we're giving pensions to these people. Scrap it. They don't deserve it. Why are they living off of taxpayer money for the rest of their careers and lives when they had at best, marginal contribution to Canada? We're in a real bad state right now. The fact that these people that are all about to lose their seat, there's something like, I think it's 170 MPs stand to lose their seat in the next election. 170 minimum. And half of them are going to grab $2.7 million on their way out the door. For what?
I feel like the only thing that you should get when you're leaving is the security. I understand that. It's not going to be as strong a detail as when you were in power. But I do believe that, yes, of course, nobody deserves to feel scared or in danger after they leave their position. So up to an extent, security. After that, I don't understand. It's like doing your job, any other job. You know what I mean? You should get a regular sized pension.
Who gets a pension for life for doing something for 4 years?
Yeah.
Get that. We are being fleeced. And Doug can call it out, but let's be honest, Doug's going to be getting a pension from Queen's Park.
Yeah,
I haven't heard him say he'll deny it. He'll refuse it.
Yeah.
The only politician I've ever heard say something even similar was Donald Trump. The president of the United States gets a salary, and he donated his check every week to a different charity in America.
He's already rich, so fine.
He's got the money. But most other people, free money twice a month for life. And they did a couple of years worth of service, and they weren't even good at it. They screwed up a lot of stuff. Here's the way it should work. And this coming parliament, whoever gets elected in the next one, should do the right thing, and they should set the tone for future parliaments. You can't take away someone's pension, unfortunately, but anybody who's running after this current election should know the rules are changing for you. From now on, if you step down, if you get fired, you're done. If you just don't get reelected, 6 months worth of severance pay. Severance, that's it. There's no lifelong pension. You get severance like anybody else would if they lost their job, and then you go back into the workforce. Giving these people a pension is just pissing away all of our money.
I know. Such a waste.
It was interesting to hear Doug weigh in on federal politics, though. He doesn't normally do that, and I'll just say it. That's the reason this guy, if he chooses to, will get reelected until the end of time, because he talks like a normal person.
That's what we need more of. Yeah, I agree.
How about, before we lighten it up, how about the piece of shit report? Can we do that?
Sure.
Canadian musician Jacob Hogard, formerly of Headley, wants bail at the Ontario Appeals Court today as he asks for leave to appeal his sexual assault conviction at the Supreme Court. Hogard filed a notice of application for leave to appeal to the Supreme Court last week, arguing the Court of Appeal for Ontario, which upheld his conviction, failed to apply the proper test in determining whether an error made by the trial judge was harmless. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know if there's anything to this argument, but he's been found guilty. He's been confirmed guilty by the appeals court. He can go to the Supreme Court, but you don't get bail in the meantime. You sit in jail, Jacob. You sit in jail. And given that he's been convicted, I think we can probably assume that the accusations we heard about him were proven in court. So if you think back to when you were making those piggy sounds at girls and taking full advantage of them and being a real asshole,
Yeah.
think about that while you're in jail waiting for your appeal. You don't get to walk around for free because you've got a pending appeal with the Supreme Court. No. You've been convicted and affirmed guilty. Go to jail, dude. That's the way it works. And speaking of jail, I don't know who Peter Nygard is.
Oh,
People on the news talk about this guy. They keep calling him, all the news is the same. Fashion mogul Peter Nygard.
he's not a mogul.
What the fuck did he do? Nothing.
The Nygard.
I don't know anything about this guy. What did he design and who owns it? Who's got Peter Nygard stuff in their closet besides your mom and grandmother?
Cares, though. And cares about it on top of that.
Right.
I always felt like the Nygard stores were just like any other store. You know what I mean? There was nothing special about it.
It's a glorified Winners or Reitmans or something.
Yeah.
So anyway, this guy also just a POS. He was convicted and sentenced yesterday to 11 years in prison, with the presiding judge calling the former fashion mogul, there it is again, a sexual predator.
Stop calling him that.
Who showed no empathy for his victims. Outside court, the Crown's lawyer noted the very difficult process for the complainants. I'm sure it was, having to come forward and talk about what happened to you. Nygard convicted on 4 counts of sexual assault last November, acquitted on a 5th count, as well as of forcible confinement. This all goes back to charges from the 80s and mid-2000s. Multiple women accused him of sexually assaulting them at his company headquarters in Toronto. So this scumbag is obviously rich. He has a fashion line, which may or may not be good. I don't know. I couldn't tell you what one of his pieces of clothes looks like. But he gets girls coming in that want to be models and maybe become the next big thing. He exploits that and says, well, you know, hey, if you want to go to the casting couch, blah, blah, blah. Or maybe he just convinced them, let's go upstairs and talk about that and have a drink. I've got a private office, which is basically set up like a treehouse and a sexual horror house. And he brings these girls in there and takes advantage of them.
It's nasty. It's nasty. There were so many piece of shit people, in the news specifically, because you got those two, and then Harvey Weinstein, who had to have emergency heart surgery.
Let him fucking go.
Honestly,
what are we doing with this guy?
Like,
Stop screwing around and wasting healthcare money on him. Just let him go.
He's got more court. He's got more court dates coming up too.
Yeah.
It's more waste of taxpayer. We know this guy's a piece of shit. Just leave him in there for life. Can't we just like across the board say he's a piece of shit? Let's just leave him in here.
Yeah.
And if something happens with him and his many health issues, oh fucking well, suffer. Like
Tough.
he made so many other people suffer.
Deal with the jail medical.
Ay, ay.
That's what you should be doing. And then you should be rushing him off of Rikers Island over to some fancy hotel in New York City. It's nonsense. With Nygard, it's going to be the same thing as with Weinstein. So Weingard, he's been convicted. He's already served some time, so he's only going to do 7 years. But that's just for these ones. He's also facing charges in other provinces, and he's facing extradition to the States for the same thing.
Yeah.
Maybe we just need a court of common sense. Maybe when you want to launch an appeal or you want bail while your appeal is going to the Supreme Court and things like that, we should just stick you in front of a judge who is just a smart person with a good eye for BS and knows common sense. Because common sense would say, you are guilty, you've been sentenced, we have a laundry list of complainants, not just here, in other provinces and in other countries. Even if this appeal is successful, they're going to screw you on something else. So no, you're going to wait in jail. You're allowed your due process, but no, you don't get any perks when we're assuming you're guilty at this point.
And I mean, look, I've said it before. In some of these cases, and I'm not saying every one of these in particular that we're talking about, but in some of these cases, like I get so sick of the wasted fucking money.
Yeah.
I wish we had the death penalty, because that court of common sense could maybe also take a second look at things and go, wait a minute, you want to complain about this? Let's take a look at this. You are a true piece of shit. We proved you're a piece of shit. Bye.
Yeah.
Let's not waste money on food for you and all the other things and necessities and extras that you're going to get in prison inevitably for the rest of however long you live.
And you know what? I mean, I get that they're upset now that they got caught. They're upset because they got caught. But what they did, they took great pleasure and pride at the time, totally victimizing these women.
Yeah.
Multiple times. This wasn't like a whoops. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This was multiple women in multiple places that they had a position of power over them and did horrible things to them. We don't have any sympathy for them. No. I don't care if Harvey Weinstein is almost 90 and has a heart defect. I don't give a shit. Go to jail, and if the doctor at the jail can't help you out, oh well, I guess that just means 20 less years of feeding you.
Yeah.
Stupid. Just stupid. Anyway, let's lighten it up just a little bit here. The Air Canada pilots are about to walk by the looks of it.
Oh boy, are they ever.
Here's how this is going to work, everybody. This is going to be a strike. And a couple of different things are going to happen here. Air Canada knows they're going to walk. The employees, the pilots know they're going to walk, but there's a date, and the date is not for a couple more days. So now Air Canada is allowing people already to rebook their flights with no penalty, and if you want, they'll just give you a flight voucher that you can use another time if you want to book on WestJet or Flair or any of the other airlines. In fact, anybody who's got a flight booked between September 15th and 23rd can already make those changes.
It looks like they know what's happening. Like, it looks like they're pretty certain that this is going to happen. And
there's only one thing that could stop this right now. Two, actually. They could work out a deal, fair deal, a collective bargain at the table, reach an agreement, pilots vote on it, Air Canada's good with it. That's how it's done. Or the federal government could step in and legislate them back to work.
Do you think they would do that, though? They haven't done that for many things. There's been many strikes or attempts at strikes, and the government did not step in. I don't see them doing it.
They did step in, though, with the Teamsters, with the rail strike just 2 weeks ago. So...
Okay, so Air Canada, what I will ask about this is, we know that they transport people, but are they transporting goods as well?
Yeah, there's a lot of Air Canada cargo.
So, I mean, if they feel like it's important enough, then they might. But otherwise, I think it's going to be one of those, oh wells.
Yeah. And they might stay out of it. In fact, I hope they do stay out of it.
I think they will.
I believe very much that employees have a right to bargain with their employer. I think sometimes we go too far, and I think the people that are running the unions in this country are just maniacs, especially CUPE. However, I would like to see them work out a deal between them. I think that that's the way that any of us would want this done. Mm-hmm. But what gets me is, starting this weekend, they're going to start winding down operations. So what that means is you get a plane that's at, say, Pearson Airport, and it's got to go over to Madrid. So it'll go and do that run if it's leaving Thursday or Friday, because it'll get back on the weekend. Then they're going to park it and leave it until they find out they've got pilots to fly it. They don't want to end up in a situation where flight goes over to Madrid, pilots walk, and then they're paying $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 a day to leave their airplane on the apron at that Madrid airport. And that could be anywhere in the world. They want all their planes parked somewhere where it's cheap or free to park until this strike is over.
They wouldn't hire, for lack of the term that makes sense, a freelance pilot for these aircraft, correct? Like, I don't even think there's enough pilots for it, but I'm just out of curiosity. Air Canada would not be able to employ others to do this in the meantime, would they?
Well, maybe at one time they might have, if there were enough, but the thing is, we did pass anti-scab legislation for federal industries. Federal industries are things like air, radio, broadcast, and you're not allowed to use replacement workers in the event. If we went on strike, they wouldn't be allowed to hire someone to replace us.
Right. They couldn't even hire a temp worker or anything like that.
Nothing.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Fair enough. So, yeah.
Why do you want to go on strike? That would scare the shit out of Dave.
If we told them that we wanted to unionize, imagine.
Oh, my God. But it's just you and I in the union.
Yeah. We pretty much do have our own little union, don't we?
And Fred Hahn is going to run it.
That's right. That's great.
of
Okay,
shit.
well, listen, if you guys have an Air Canada, my brother travels a ton for work, like a ton. He's got like 6 Air Canada flights in the next like month and a half.
Oh, no.
Or not.
No, he doesn't.
I should say or not. So there's a lot of companies that specifically just use them, right? So hey, but if that's you for pleasure that you're doing it, we would already, just to be safe, just look into other options for yourself. Even if it's past the 23rd of September and you don't have to do it now, for sure, we would just encourage you to maybe look in advance so you know what else would be available if you absolutely have to. But by all means, we hope it's short and sweet, and we'll keep you updated.
Oh, I kind of want to talk about Super Bowl, and we will. We'll do Super Bowl after this one real quick. The governor of New Hampshire. I don't expect a single person listening to know who the governor of New Hampshire is.
No idea.
For those who don't know, though, a governor in America is very similar to a premier in Ontario. So the governor of New Hampshire being called a hero after he saved the life of a choking contestant on a lobster roll at a seafood festival contest.
Wow.
So Governor Chris Sununu used the Heimlich maneuver on the contestant, who recovered before continuing to eat at the Hampton Beach competition on Sunday. They had 10 minutes to eat the New England sandwiches, lobster rolls. That was, it's basically lobster on a hot dog bun. A video shows the contestant ate 2 lobster rolls, then started tapping his chest. That's when Sununu, the governor, jumps up and saved the guy's life. Listen to this.
The gentleman at the far end, who I was kind of watching, he took a pause. He was having trouble getting something down. I started saying, he's choking, and I could tell people weren't responding. So I just moved forward and immediately started to kind of give him the Heimlich. He went right back to the contest, which I couldn't believe. He ate another 7 lobster rolls after that, right down the gullet.
My counter came up to me and like made a joke and was like, oh, like I bet nobody else can say that they've gotten a Heimlich from the governor before. I looked at him and was just like, That was the governor?
Imagine that. To put it in terms, imagine we were doing a poutine eating contest at Dundas Square in Toronto. And
That'll do it. That makes sense.
and somebody starts choking. That'd be like if Doug Ford himself jumped up and gave him the Heimlich.
That's insane.
Pretty
And
good.
cool. And
yeah,
cool.
That's great.
We should all know basic CPR, by the way. Can we lead back to that?
I couldn't agree with you more. I think that for all the nonsense that our workplaces put us through, fortunately, the DEI stuff is done. But for all the classes and seminars and web security videos that you got to watch and all this stuff they make you learn at work, why isn't CPR and first aid one of those things? It should be basically mandatory. At once in your work career, you got to take a first aid or CPR course. I think that would make things so much safer for all of us. Mind you, I thought it was law that everybody had to have one of those AEDs, the things that'll save you if you're having a heart attack.
Yeah.
I don't see them everywhere. It seemed like we were going in that direction, and then I stopped seeing them.
Interesting.
I don't know where they are anymore.
I see them like a lot of public places do have them. I think if you look for them or ask, I know community centers have had them. Obviously, you've got large concert venues and stuff. They do have them, but
I just think
hopefully
about
everyone does.
the older people in my life that are more likely to have a heart attack than I, and I'd love to know that wherever they go, there's someone there who can save their life if stuff goes down. We are up against the clock, so quickly, there is already an update on Kendrick Lamar playing the Super Bowl halftime show. People don't like it, especially Nicki Minaj.
Oh my gosh. So Nicki Minaj, I think most people know, is with a group called Young Money. They're very tight. It is she. Drake is in it as well. A couple others. And the head of this is most definitely Lil Wayne. I didn't think about the fact that Lil Wayne is from New Orleans, and New Orleans is hosting the Super Bowl. Apparently, he was in talks to be the headliner for the 2025 Super Bowl in New Orleans, which would have made sense. But Jay-Z decided to go with Kendrick Lamar. And Nicki Minaj is absolutely letting people know how she feels about it.
She's very Young Money, though.
She's very Young Money, exactly. She's with Lil Wayne wholeheartedly. But she makes some good points, as I peruse her social, and there's so many. It's on X that this is. So many posts on this, but she makes some really good points about it. Like, yes, it was his to lose, essentially, Lil Wayne's, and he did lose out on it. And by no means is it a hate against Kendrick Lamar. It's more so a hate against Jay-Z.
Jay-Z.
Specifically, because she kind of alludes to enjoy your money while you can. And people are really honing in on that because for those who aren't aware, only rumors and speculation, only potential sources saying that Jay-Z has a lot of stuff to hide that might come to light soon.
Diddy-esque stuff, right?
Diddy-esque stuff.
Yeah. I've heard it too.
Satan-loving stuff.
Yeah.
Can I just say that too? Like a lot of culty stuff.
Him and his wife.
Okay. Yes, she's most definitely named in those rumors as well. Now, we can tell you those are just rumors. However, the fact that she even said that alone without any context makes us wonder if she knows stuff too. Why can't these people just say it? But let me read you a couple of posts that she had here. God forbid if Wayne was to leave this earth right now, the culture would be in mourning. That's why so many people keep saying to give our legends their flowers while they're still around to smell them. Sitting around all day long playing games with people's life and legacy. She goes on, I mean, countless times to say, obviously, this is because Jay-Z has something against Young Money, because she points out Birdman is also named in this too, because Birdman is so confused why Kendrick Lamar was picked over someone like Lil Wayne. If you're going to pick someone in hip hop, why would you not pick Lil Wayne and give him his flowers? And she goes on and on about it. So if you want to see those posts, by all means, you can. She says you can still love and respect Kendrick and still love and respect Wayne. Even Kendrick loves and respects Wayne. Every real rapper loves and respects him. But again, these are all solely against Jay-Z, who won't speak by the way. Jay-Z is one of those people that doesn't say shit, but behind the scenes, he says a lot of shit, apparently, and his actions tend to speak louder than his words, like this choice.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, there's not a lot of upside for the people who are named in all these rumors to be talking right now. We haven't heard a lot of people that are named in the rumors talk. I'm not surprised Jay-Z's being quiet, but you're right. He made a hell of a statement by putting Kendrick Lamar there. I still don't think he's going to be the halftime show.
I know, I'm so
I think
curious.
a lot's going to change. It won't be him solo anyway. Not for sure.
Yeah,
for sure it won't be him solo.
I think when you're in that bubble, right, you don't see the outside perspective of it. Now, NFL and Apple Music, from what I know, did have to sign off on it. But when you ask Apple Music, of course, they're going to be like, yeah, sure, Kendrick has streams. Sounds good. He's got a lot of streams. Not a problem. But it also is a very, I don't even know, a weird confrontational choice to make, because you're also going to have people who are, again, I go back to the demo thing. Like NFL probably is, if anybody went, ooh, okay, we're going to do it, but reluctantly. So I'm not sure. I think that other changes will be made. I think Kendrick will do it, but I think that there will be more added.
Right.
We'll see.
I read some interesting speculation online, and it's just wild speculation coming out of the Toronto area, that this is all of this has led up to a reconciliation between Kendrick Lamar and Drake, and they both do the halftime show. And Jay-Z knows that the plan is to play this up, and then at halftime, they both show up.
Funny that you say that. Now, would Nicki go off like this? Maybe she still would, though, even if she knew what was happening. Because there is speculation that that's what will happen, is that will be the moment that Kendrick brings Drake out. But are they too deep in this? And because by all means, we're hearing it's real. Like, we're hearing Drake is spending most of his time in Texas because he's shit scared to be anywhere that you would expect Drake to be. So I don't know. This coming Raptors basketball season will be telltale. Does he show up to a lot of games? Because if he doesn't, I actually am worried a bit, because it would seem as though Drake is actually scared.
It really reminds me of the Tupac and Biggie rivalry. That's kind of the way they've set this up, and we all know how that ended. I'm really curious to see where this goes, because it's not normal, and that's a weird choice, and they announced it early, and there's a lot hanging over Jay-Z's head right now, and I'm make some popcorn, everybody. It's going to be great.
Sidebar, Jay-Z got shit on for a couple things online because he also gets roped into anything to do with Beyonce and vice versa for Beyonce, obviously. But Beyonce, because if you listen to this pod, maybe there's a chance you don't pay attention to country music, but Beyonce put out a country album, and yesterday the Country Music Awards announced their nominations, and she got none. 0, both on camera and off camera awards, 0.
Because it wasn't a good album. Country fans didn't like it, and her fans didn't like it.
People are still arguing it wasn't a country album, it was a pop album. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not going to categorize anything. I listened to some of it. Renaissance, for me, still my favorite. The dance shit was great. She fucking killed it. But when it came to country, that one was not for me.
Rest in peace to James Earl Jones. A lot of us grew up with the voice of the Lion King, Darth Vader, so many more.
Lord Vader, the fleet has moved out to flight speed and we're preparing to...
You have failed me for the last time, Admiral. Captain Piet.
Yes, my lord.
Make ready to land our troops beyond their energy.
That's all we can play, or we'll owe
They
George
won't let us
Lucas
play
money.
anymore. But my God, that guy had what a great voice he had, and the fact is that the voice and himself will still live on in all the projects that he did. Which, by the way, he has over 200 credits to his name. He started in the '60s with over 200 credits, and he mentioned that he was very picky about what he did, and I understand why. But still, with that 200 credits at 93 years old, we did lose James Earl Jones yesterday.
One thing I'm wondering about is, A, are they done filming that last Lion King movie? Did he record the voice for Simba, or is it Simba that he plays?
Mufasa. Well, Mufasa is dead.
Yeah, but he's back in this new movie, isn't he?
I don't know. I don't know. I didn't actually see anything about it, so I don't know. If he did, I hope so. We're gonna find out, I'm sure. It's kind of reminiscent of his friend, Carrie Fisher.
Oh, right.
Who, when she passed away, had thankfully banked a lot of her stuff for a lot of Star Wars projects previous to that.
He was alive when the technology became perfected where you can type a script and have just about any voice read it. And we certainly have enough samples of his voice that we could replicate it. Do you think he'd be okay with if they did do another Lion King with Mufasa using James Earl Jones' voice, even though it's AI generating it?
He might have, and I'm sure he gave his opinion on that. I just hope that they respect whatever his opinion was.
Agreed.
That's the bottom line. Respect
Wholeheartedly.
whatever that person's opinion was on that.
It should be up to the voiceover artist, right?
Yeah.
Okay, we got to go.
Special guest tomorrow on the pod.
Oh, we're going to talk dieting tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm going to bring in my friend. Lifestyle choices really is what it's about. But I started to chat with a nutritionist, and I can't wait to have her on. Her name is Jen Vasey. She's a metabolic balance coach. She's a holistic nutritionist. So we're going to talk a little bit about health on the pod tomorrow.
Very good. And for those who are wondering, Sandra Ziskin, our legal expert, she's going to be on in 2 weeks here on After 9, and then we'll get back to having her on once a week or once a month or whenever it was we were doing it. Guys, have yourself a great day. Enjoy the debate. We will catch you right back here talking about that and more tomorrow.
Bye, friends.
Red Lobster is exiting bankruptcy and will operate their restaurants. I don't want to say how they're saving money, but it's not good that the lobster is now in quotations.
Monday Night Football. Aaron Rodgers strapped on his tinfoil helmet for another madcap season as the San Francisco 49ers hosted the New York Jets. This year, players have the option to wear these protective helmet bumpers. They do need to come up with a better design than that. One of the reasons the players have been unwilling to wear them is because, when your head tilts backwards, which it does, often a piece of candy pops out of your neck. And a sport is too dangerous when even the helmets need helmets.
Elon Musk is on pace to become the world's first trillionaire by 2027. People are worried that once he becomes a trillionaire, he might get weird.